Booktube, welcome back. I'm Winx and the ink I'm talking about today is the intimidating TBR tag. I was tagged to do this by Maya from Frankie Reads, and I'm so sorry it's taken me so long to do this. I was tagged a few months ago, so it's been way too long, but I'm really excited to finally get to this one, and I've really enjoyed watching the videos that other people have done and seeing what all your answers are, so I soaked up some inspiration from that. But yeah, let's get started. So, number 1. What book have you not been able to finish? I actually had a hard time with this one just because I normally either commit to a book or I DNF it and it's off my TBR. So I was going to just answer with The Mad Ship by Robin Hobb because that's one that I'm currently working on, but that has been on my TBR for quite a while. But I actually decided to go with The Broken Kingdom by N.K. Jemisin. This is actually the second book in a series that she has, and I read the first one, I really loved it, loved the characters, and was so excited to continue on with their story that when I saw there was a second book, I just bought it without even thinking twice. But then I started the book and I realized that it actually follows new characters and it's a new story, and while that is obviously totally fine and I'm sure it's a great book, I had gone into things being so excited to continue on from where the first book left off that it was kind of a huge disappointment when I realized this, and so I put it down and I have just never gone back to it. But I will one day, and when I do, I'm sure I will enjoy it. Number 2. A book that you haven't had the time to get to. For that, I'm going to say A Darker Shade of Magic by B.E. Schwab. I picked this one up quite a while ago when it seemed like everybody was talking about it on Booktube, and it sounds like something that I will really, really love once I do finally get to it, but I just always seem to have a million other books ahead of it, and so it just hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure I will very much enjoy it once I finally do get to it. Number 3. A book you haven't gotten to because it's a sequel. For this, I'm going to say Moriarty by Anthony Horowitz. I picked this one up. I was actually at Pal's with my family because they were in for a visit, so I was showing them around, and my mom saw this one and showed it to me because it's Sherlock related and she knows I love Sherlock, and I thought that the cover was really pretty, so I just sort of bought it on a whim. And then after I did that, someone actually posted in one of my videos to let me know that it was actually part of a series and not the first book in the series, so I can't remember if it's the second or if it's further in, but it's definitely not the first. So I have a little bit of reading to do in this series before I get to this one. Number 4. A book you haven't gotten to yet because it's brand new. For this, I'm going to say one that I actually recently pre-ordered, and that is the Cthulhu Case book. It's a Sherlock Holmes book that has something to do with Cthulhu. It was one of the books that Amazon suggested I might like, and they made a pretty good suggestion that sounded like something I definitely would like. So I pre-ordered it, and it's supposed to come later this month, I think, maybe next month, but soon. So either way, I haven't read it yet because it's not out yet. It's brand new. Number 5. A book you haven't read yet because you read something else by the same author and didn't like it. I couldn't think of anything really great for this one, but I did think of something sort of related. So there are a few online book clubs that I have been a part of through Goodreads and the power of the internet for several years, and sometimes I am pretty hardcore into them and sometimes not so much, but in any case, one month a few years ago, one of the clubs picked 2 books, and there was a main book to read and then sort of an alt book that you didn't have to read, but that sort of went along. I didn't realize at the time that both of the books were by the same author, so I just picked them both up. I actually just searched by the title and then recognized the cover from what was on the Goodreads page, so yeah, somehow I stayed totally oblivious to the fact that they were both by Kresley Cole, who is the author. And the main book was called Shadow's Claim, and I read it and I did not like it. I thought that the plot was so thin, it just didn't make sense, it just seemed silly, and I just couldn't get into it. But the other book is part of the Arcana Chronicles, and I think the first book is called Poison Princess. But I really like that one, and I actually still keep up with that series. But had I realized that it was written by the same author who wrote the book I had just read and hated, there is no way I would have actually picked it up. But as it happens, I did. I really enjoyed it, and the latest book in that series actually came out a month or 2 ago, so I had that on my Kindle, and it is officially part of my TBR. I can't remember the title of it, but I'll put it down below. Number 6, a book that you're just not in the mood for. So for that, I'm going to say The White Queen by Philippa Gregory. This is a historical romance kind of book, but I actually think I'm going to be in the mood for this one pretty soon. I feel like it's a good sort of genre for like it's starting to get rainy and chilly and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is going to happen, but I bought it a while ago, a few months ago, and I just haven't been in the mood for it since I got it, so hence it's still on my TBR. Number 7, a book you haven't read because it's humongous. So I'm actually not very shy of giant books, hence the fact that I've been reading through all of the Robin Hobb books. Especially when it comes to fantasy, I really like a giant book that I can just sink my teeth into. So that's not really a big issue, but because I've been reading all of the Robin Hobb books, I have been postponing starting in on this one, which is Malice by John Gwynne, and it's also a pretty big book. It's a little over 600 pages, I think, so not the longest book that I've ever had, but definitely big enough that I have been postponing adding it into my list for a while. I'll probably wait until I've actually finished the Robin Hobb books before I get to this one. Number 8 is a book that was a cover buy, but that you've since heard negative reviews about. I actually had a hard time with this. I was trying to think of all the books that were cover buys for me, and for the most part, it sounds like I lucked out and I got some pretty good cover buys. So I decided to give you guys a reverse answer. Here's a book that I was hesitant to buy because I did not like the cover, but I picked it up anyway because I heard good reviews. And that is My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. And double reverse is that after I bought it, I heard a few not great reviews. It seems like the jury is out. Some people really love this book. For some people, it's just not for them. I'm pretty curious to see where I fall between that once I get reading. But yeah, have not gotten to it yet, so there you go. And finally, number 9 is what is the most intimidating book on your shelves? This was also kind of a difficult question because I don't think any book particularly stands out as being the ultimate intimidating book on my shelves, but I decided to pick up this one, which is Sword and Citadel. It's the 2 final books in the Book of the New Sun series by Gene Wolfe. I feel like this series is really great, but it takes a lot of focus, I think, to read the books. The writing style is really interesting and I love that about it, but it just takes a little bit more out of you to read them, and they're also just like these really prolific books, I feel, so that adds into it. Plus I had Sword of the Lictor on my TBR list for several months running, and it just always seems to be the one that gets booted when I run out of time, so somehow that has sort of like set me up to feel extra intimidated by it, that I just keep thinking I'm going to read it and then I keep not doing it, and I don't know, it's amped up the intensity. So yeah, I think that I'm gonna go with that. So there you go. Alright, so there's my answers. I'm actually not going to tag anyone in particular just because this tag has been going around quite a bit and it's been around for a while, so I'm not sure who hasn't done it yet. But if you're watching this and you have not done this tag, I tag you. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have read any of these books that are hanging out intimidating me on my shelves. I'd also love to hear if you have any particularly intimidating books hanging out on your TBR. Alright, thanks Maya for tagging me, and thank you all for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you'd like to see more. I hope everybody's week is getting off to a good start, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!